Hello there, middle schoolers. Hope everyone is doing well. We are going to read from The Wish Giver today, starting on page 137 to page 147, read with permission from HarperCollins. I had to search high and low for vocabulary words for you guys today, but here are the ones I found. Fluster, that means to make somebody upset or nervous. Seldom means it doesn't happen very often. Scuff, it could be a mark. I have a little scuff here on my couch, but the way it's used in the book is to, Adam scuffed the ground with his shoe. He made a little mark in the ground. Spade is a shovel. Parched means something that is very, very dry. And spew means to spit out something. It could be words or gum or anything flying out of your mouth. Okay? So where we left off, we started the chapter about Adam. And Adam lives on a farm with his parents. The farm is extremely dry. Adam has to take the wagon in through town to Spider Creek to fill up the barrels of water because the farm is so dry. It doesn't have water underneath. Uncle Poot, the dowsing man whose job it is to find water, took his dowsing stick and went all over the farm and could find nothing. Adam made his wish, and his wish was that I wish we had water all over this farm, enough for washing, cooking, and drinking, and for the crops, and with plenty to spare too. That was his wish. That's where we left off, and we're starting on page 137. Please follow along. When Adam woke up Tuesday morning, his first thought was he didn't have to go to school until the end of the week when tests began. Then he remembered the wish he had made last night. He dressed quickly, gulped his breakfast, and rushed outside to see if maybe the sun hung in the sky like a shiny brass disc. There's a simile for you. The sun hung in the sky like a shiny brass disc, and the yard around the house was cracked and dusty from lack of water. I guess my wish ain't gonna come true, he murmured to himself. What wish, Adam? There was Ma back from the barn with an empty feed dish in her hand. Nothing, Ma. Now where was it you wanted your fence set up? Adam was flustered. He was flustered. He was nervous. That Ma had heard his talk about wishing. He was too old for such nonsense. Just here under the window, Ma replied. No, the house will shade it from the afternoon sun. Perhaps thereby, or maybe off to the side where it can be seen from the porch. Then again, it could go, oh, I don't know. Adam, where do you think it should go? So Adam agreed to dig some holes for his mom to put a fence so she could grow some flowers. Adam grinned and shook his head. It did beat all the trouble Ma had making up her mind when she was going to do something to please herself. She could spend an hour just deciding whether to pay a visit to her neighbor Mrs. Jenks, and when it came to choosing fabric for a new dress, she'd stand in Stew Meat's store all morning sorting through the bolts of cloth until she found one that was exactly right. But running the farm was another thing altogether. Edward, you get the horses to the blacksmith before you do another thing, she'd tell Pa like a general giving orders. Ooh, there's another simile, like a general in the army giving orders. Or, Adam, the beans need cultivating right now. And Pa and Adam would obey, figuring Ma was seldom means not often, wrong about farm work when farm work had to get done. Adam knew how to get Ma to make up her mind. Why don't you put the fence over there? He said, pointing to the one spot that didn't get any sun all day long. Oh, you men, Ma answered. Any fool can see the best spot is there in the corner where we can see the flowers from two sides of the house. That'll do nicely. She picked up Uncle Poot's dowsing rod from where Adam had dropped it and scratched a line in the dusty earth. Adam paced the length of the line. He calculated that 5 fence posts would do, and he scuffed the dirt with his heel at the places he'd dig them. He made the 5 holes with the spade, with the shovel. Each hole was about 2 feet deep. You're making too much work for yourself, Adam, Ma told him. Are you trying to go all the way down to China? I want them posts to stay put, Adam said, not blowing over in the first strong wind. The earth at the bottom of each hole was as dry as that on the surface. If the whole farm was like that, it'd be a bad year for crops unless they got watered soon. He'd have to make another trip to Spider Creek after lunch. Adam leaned on the spade resting. He looked about the dusty yard and down toward the hollow where the barn was. Then his eyes lit on the dowsing rod. Okay, and a dowsing rod is just a stick. He picked it up, just a thin, two-pronged branch of applewood, he thought. How had Uncle Poot held it? He bent his arms at the elbow and gripped a prong on each upturned palm. The small stub of wood at the crotch stuck out ahead as if pointing the way to go. Adam took one step, another. Suddenly the prong started twisting and turning in Adam's hands like live things. The pointer jerked straight down, and the branch's bark wrinkled and split as the dowsing rod bent into an arc. Adam tried yanking up against whatever force was pulling on the stick. It was impossible. The stick had a life of its own, and it insisted on pointing to the soil at Adam's feet. Adam loosed his grip on the dowsing rod, and it dropped to the ground. There it lay, no longer curved, but just a forked stick from an ordinary apple tree. Adam was scared stiff. Gingerly, he picked up the dowsing rod. Hot as the day was, he could feel cold sweat on his forehead. He walked to the other end of the yard. Again, he grasped the two prongs of the stick, just as he'd seen Uncle Poot do it. He took a single step forward. Once more, the pointer jerked toward the ground, almost as if an invisible hand had reached out of the earth and pulled at it. Adam could feel the skin on his hands being rubbed raw. With mighty effort, he hurled the stick from him, watching it turn into a lifeless bit of wood in midair. So, when Adam is handling the dowsing stick that Uncle Poot had done the day before, it is jerking and bending and arcing towards the ground. And it should do that if there's water under there. That's how it works. That is how dowsing works. But nothing happened yesterday. But remember, that night Adam made his wish, and now look what the dowsing rod is doing. Uncle Poot's words popped into Adam's head. When I walk over an underground stream holding the prongs of my dowsing rod, the other end of it will twist and point to water. Here's a simile for you. Like a fish pole when a trout hits the lure. Like a fish pole when the trout hits the lure. I don't know if you've ever gone fishing, but when you got your pole in and a fish bites on the bait or the lure, it twists and starts moving. And that's how it feels to hold a dowsing rod. Adam gasped. He had the dowsing gift himself? Or did he? The yard all about him was as dry and parched as it had ever been. There couldn't be water under there. So what had caused the dowsing rod to jerk and point? He decided to try again. The branch began to twist in his hands as soon as he took his first steps with it. He crisscrossed the yard several times. Wherever he went, the stick yanked itself toward the ground like a pointing finger. Ma! Adam dropped the rod and ran pell-mell towards the house. Ma! Mrs. Fisk came to the kitchen door. What are you howling about, Adam? She asked. Are you hurt or something? I think I found water, Ma. Adam crowed. Water under the whole yard. The dowsing rod points down wherever I go. Then why didn't Uncle Poot find it yesterday, Ma replied with a snort. All the water on this farm wouldn't give a cricket a good drink. Get inside and put the plates out, Adam. Pa'll be here directly and he'll be hungry. But Ma, only water could make the rod bend the way it did, said Adam. Uncle Poot said so. You're talking nonsense, Adam. I think the heat's got to you. Go to the parlor and rest. I'll get things ready here. But that's enough. Do as I say. Adam plodded to the parlor. He wondered how he'd get to Ma, too. We're on the bed, top of page 143. Pop! He heard the sound like somebody had taken a huge cork out of a gigantic bottle. Then there was another sound, this one a wet, hissing liquid. Fsh! Adam heard the sounds a second time. Pop! Fsh! And a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. Pop! Fsh! Pop! Fsh! Pop! Fsh! Before he had even time to wonder what had caused the strange noises, His mother called loudly, "Adam! Close the windows in there! Heaven be praised, it's starting to rain!" Through the parlor window, Adam saw the parched yard and the clear blue sky, the fiery ball that was the sun. "Sure ain't raining on this side of the house," he yelled back. He still heard the hissing. Shh! "Adam, come help me. The curtains are getting soaked." He ran to the kitchen. Large drops of water were spattering in through the open window over the sink, and he could hear water drumming onto the roof and gurgling through the gutter pipes on its way to the big cistern in the cellar. Remember from a previous chapter, cistern is a large container that holds water. Adam dashed out into the back porch. He couldn't believe what he saw. From each of the fence post holes he dug, water was gushing forth as if spewed from a fire hose. Okay, there's our vocabulary word. Spewed means spitting out from a fire hose. And if you've ever seen a fire hose in action, that has a lot of water pressure behind it. So in the 5 holes that Adam dug for his mom's flower fence, water was gushing out. Up, higher than the house, the silvery liquid spouted, forming 5 columns that glittered as the sunlight caught them. The top of each column, the water spread out in all directions, so there appeared to be 5 watery umbrellas in the corner of the house. "Water!" Adam cried as he ran under the fallen drops. There he stood, getting soaked to the skin and laughing out loud. "Water!" There was an odd gasp from behind him. Adam turned about. Pa was gazing at the spouts with wonder in his eyes. Then Ma rushed out of the kitchen. "Never in my life have I seen it rain as hard as—" She caught sight of the 5 spurting columns and fell silent, her mouth gaping. "It's real water," Pa said over the sound of the hissing spouts. "Out there in the cornfield, I thought I was going soft in the head." And that is an idiom. Soft in the head means you think you're going crazy. Top of page 146. "What happened in the cornfield, Edward?" Ma asked. "I jabbed a hoe into the ground," Pa replied, "and water started coming out of it. Not just running along the ground, but shooting right up in the air, like those spouts, but nowhere near as big. I thought I was addled from too much sun or else coming down sick. Anyhow, I poked another hole, and water came out of that one too. In all my life, I never saw the like of it. It can't be happening. It just can't be." "But it is," cried Adam. "We finally got water on this here farm." "It's more than a little strange," said Pa. "Still, it'd be a shame not to use what's been provided. I plan on jabbing more holes so's I can water all the crops. Adam, tote the tubs up here and fill 'em. No telling how long the water will keep spouting." But the water did not stop. By the middle of the afternoon, all the crops had been given a good drink, and every tub, pot, and kettle on the place was filled with water. Runoff from the gutters had filled the big iron cistern in the cellar, and Adam had to unhook the pipe that led inside so the water could run off in the yard. At bedtime that evening, the water was still gushing forth as strong as ever. It hissed from the 5 holes and pattered loudly on the roof. "I hope that noise won't keep us awake," said Ma. "The sound of that water is better than the sweetest music I've ever heard," said Pa. "I plan on sleeping like a log tonight." Sleeping like a log, that's an idiom, which is also a simile, and that means to sleep very soundly. Sleep like a log. Adam smiled a sleepy smile as he lay on his bed that night. Water gurgling in the gutters and spattering to the ground and making the plants grow. No more hauling tubs down to Spider Creek and filling them up and hauling them back again. Everything seemed just about as perfect as it could be. With a contented sigh, he fell to sleep. Okay. Yay! His wish came true, right? He wished there was water all over the farm and plenty to spare. It's come true. I wonder if it's going to come true in a good way or a bad way. Knowing the other wishes, how they came true with Polly, croaking like a frog, and Rowena with Henry Piper turning into a tree, do you suppose this wish is going to turn out positively for the family or negatively? We'll find out. So the questions I'm going to ask you: why did Adam dig 5 holes in the yard? Remember, he dug them for his mom because he was going to put up a fence. So he dug post holes. What happened when Adam handled the dowsing rod that Uncle Poot left? Remember, he picked up the stick, started twisting and arcing and pointing to the ground. What came out of the holes? Water. Water, water everywhere is the title of this section. Water, water, everywhere. Okay? And yay, so everything is good. However, what do you think will happen next? Is it going to stay good? We will see. So I'm going to call y'all on the phone and look forward to discussing this chapter with you. All right, y'all. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.